Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we are going to be reviewing Ready or Not, which is a really innovative comedy horror based movie which is really cool and is based on the infamous billionaire family, the Domas family, who have a bit of a twisted family tradition. So whenever anybody marries into the Domas family, they have to pick a game at random, and if they pick hide and seek, then they have to enter into a bit of a life or death situation where they have to fight for their lives while the other family members are hunting them, and they have to try to survive until dawn the next day. So I thought the concept of this movie was really innovative. That being said though, I did think that the ending and the twists and turns in this movie were a little bit predictable, but you know, it is an enjoyable movie from start to finish, and it's also really promising that the directors of this movie are going to be finally taking on the helm of Scream 5, which I just cannot wait for. Scream is literally the best comedy horror thriller franchise out there, and I literally cannot wait for Scream 5. And as the directors of Ready or Not are going to be taking on that movie, I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant. Definitely the next best set of people to take on the film after the tragic passing of Wes Craven. But anyway, we could talk about Scream 5 another day. Let's get on with the review for Ready or Not. So in terms of the plot of this movie, Grace, who is a former foster child, is really excited about marrying the love of her life, Alex Domas, but the Domas family are really arrogant and really snobbish towards her. Now that being said, they do still get married, and at midnight, as soon as midnight strikes, they observe their twisted family tradition where all of the characters in the family go to the games room, and the new member of the family, Grace, has to pick a card at random from the Levesque puzzle box, and unfortunately, Grace picks hide and seek. She then unknowingly enters into a bit of a run for your life Russian roulette type experience where she has to try and stay alive until dawn while all of the other family members are going to try and hunt and kill her. Now if she is successful and is able to survive until dawn, then the Domas family are apparently going to die mysteriously, whereas they are all trying to kill Grace through this ritual. The movie therefore becomes a little bit of a comedy horror cat and mouse chase film, and it's just really unfortunate as Grace was so excited about finally being part of a big family, and they are really turning on her in the worst possible way. So from a cast and characters point of view, all of the cast brilliantly play in this comedy horror film super well. So let's go through the main players right now. So first up we have Samara Weaving, who is absolutely brilliant as the Grace Domas character. She really does transition from being a really sweet and innocent nice bride to being an absolutely total badass throughout the movie, and she really does lead the film really well. You're really with the Grace character. She is super likable and you're really rooting for her throughout. We then have Mark O'Brien playing Alex Domas, the new groom to the Grace character, and he didn't even tell his wife that this could potentially happen to her on her wedding day, which is just an absolutely bad move for this character. We then have Adam Brody, who plays Daniel Domas, the brother-in-law to Grace and the brother of the Alex character. He's a bit of an alcoholic, and you don't know whether or not you can trust him based upon what he did right in the beginning of the movie, which is where a very similar situation happened, and the Daniel character called out the rest of the family to be able to kill the first character that kind of he witnessed playing the hide or seek game. We then have the parents of the Domas family, who just really want to kind of continue their tradition and want to continue their presence as being the billionaire family behind a whole suite of games. We then have the very twisted sister-in-law characters and the brilliant evil twisted aunt character as well, who actually went through something very similar to Grace, whereby her new groom was hunted back 30 years ago, and she unfortunately lost her husband to the game of hide and seek, and as a result she's kind of become really twisted as well, and now wants to kind of do the same thing for Grace. And it's just really interesting to kind of see what happened to somebody that went through something really tragic and has unfortunately come out the other side a much worse and bitter, evil, twisted person. And then finally we have the butlers and the unlucky maids in this film as well. So from a cast and characters point of view, there is actually a great cast associated with this movie. So from a visuals point of view, you can really tell that they've got a decent budget associated with this movie, as the visuals all look really cool. The mansion house that all of these characters are in pretty much throughout the film looks absolutely magnificent from the outside, and from the inside looks very medieval, which is just really well fitting for this movie, as it's very cool and very creepy at the same time. The gore scenes are very realistically painful to watch as well, but it's conveyed in a bit of a comedic way, which is really interesting. So from a visual style, this movie is actually really awesome. So in terms of comparisons, I'd say, this film does have a bit of a unique concept, but I guess if you were to compare it to other films, the nearest thing you could compare it to is The Purge. And I'd say, it's on par with some of the Purge movies, and may well be a bit better than some of the sequels as well. I'd say it's a lot better than I Know What You Did Last Summer, maybe not as good as the Scream franchise, and I'd also say it's a little bit similar as well to The Babysitter in terms of its satanic presence, which also interestingly starred Samara Weaving in that film as well. So in terms of the ending of this movie, it is relatively fast paced actually. A lot of things happen to the Grace character, which ultimately ends with her being captured, and she is being sacrificed as part of a satanic ritual. But then Daniel surprisingly rescues Grace, and it is really interesting actually, as this was the character that turned on Charles 30 years ago when he was a child, and told the family where the child's character was, whereas this time he is freeing Grace. Grace then kills Charity, who is Daniel's wife, and also kills Becky, who is the mother, and then Alex sees this, and after Grace rejects Alex as well, Alex turns on her and subdues and captures the Grace character. Grace then manages to break free again, and as the clock strikes to becoming dawn time, Grace has successfully passed her mission, so to speak, which leads to all of the Domas family exploding as part of a satanic ritual, and you briefly see the Levesque character, aka the Devil, and he gives the Grace character a little bit of a nod in respect. So overall, I did think that it was a little bit predictable that the Alex character would turn on Grace, and that it was all devil related, but it was interesting to see how they kind of executed all of the different ideas. And like I said before, it was a great concept, great suite of characters, great cast, and a really interesting storyline as well. I do feel like they could have pushed it a little bit more, but it was a really enjoyable movie from start to finish, and for all of those reasons, I am going to give Ready or Not a solid 6.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.